The short, hard-hitting answer is that the military-industrial complex is our economic security blanket. That's what it is. The reason that the United States loves war is because war ends recessions. Mm-hmm. And the reason that war ends recessions is because the military-industrial complex spins up. Tens of thousands of jobs are made, massive government spending is made, people make a whole hell of a lot more money, more taxes is taken, and then all that military-industrial produce, all the production, isn't just for us. It can be sold to the UK, it can be sold to France, it can be sold to Germany, it can be sold to Israel, it can be sold to Saudi Arabia.
Now you have money coming in. Yeah,
and you have money coming in, and the people who are, when foreign countries buy American goods, what denomination do they use? What currency do they use?
American.
So then how do they get American dollars?
They got to buy them
Trade in American dollars.
And then as you buy American dollars, it takes American dollars off the market, which does what to the value of your currency?
Increases the value.
It's net. It's like a triple threat. It's like Justin Timberlake, man.
I mean, this is really well said.
So that's why the military-industrial complex was designed. And it's a big part of the reason that Eisenhower warned against it.
Yeah, his speech when he left office.
Yep. It was like, once we create this beast, you can never put this back in a box. It's always going to be there, and it has contributed to our wealth over time. Yeah. It is the thing that China is trying to do right now. The thing China is trying to replicate is its own military-industrial complex, because it has watched us leverage it for economic and international gain for the last 30 years.
Now, doesn't it need war in order to properly utilize it?
It needs conflict, exactly right.
My understanding with China's foreign policy, that it wasn't conflict-based. It was more like investment and infrastructure-based.
That worked.
The Silk Road Initiative.
Belt and Road.
What is it called?
Belt and Road Initiative.
Belt and Road, yeah.
BRI.
Okay.
So China's from 1980 to about 2010, China was primarily focused on Belt and Road Initiative, on diplomacy, economic diplomacy, and that's why you saw what they call the China Miracle, where China went from, speaking of per capita, China went from $537 annual income per capita
to
$5,000.
Wow. Yeah, think about that.
Yeah, a starving population to cities popping up everywhere.
Right. Unbelievable, yeah.
So a 10x change in the average household income and the average person's income in just 30 years.
And we're talking about 1.4 billion people. We're not talking about a country of 1 million people where you can get that change. Okay, so you're saying?
So they were engaging in that, let's be the world's producer. Let's be the world's warehouse and the world's workforce for a long time. Well, when Xi Jinping took power, he started to say, well, what are we going to do for the next 50 years, which is why he came up with the 50-year plan. And when he started looking 50 years out, he started realizing that if you're the world's manufacturer, then you're always manufacturing somebody else's goods. And then looking at the United States, we used to be the world's manufacturer, and then we exported that, and we took on tech jobs, and we took on innovation, and we took on innovation. And that is now, what do we export to the world? So now if anybody wants to import an American good, yes, they might get rice and strawberries sometimes, but most of the time they're importing financial structures, they're importing technology,
entertainment,
big stuff that has IP behind it, not actual tangible plastic goods.
Interesting. So on the military-industrial complex,
real quick, I just want you to explain. So you're saying now China's going to transition into military-industrial complex, which would mean that they would need conflict. You got to use the bombs, right?
So for the last 5 years or so, what we've seen is a really aggressive push for China to change its economic foundation away from being the world's manufacturer and into being the world's tech alternative to the United States.
Once Huawei got it.
And once competition exists, you can't put that back in a box. So what's different is the United States, we like to win like a good football game. We like to win where it's second quarter, last half of the game, we're 15 points behind, and then we win by 1.
The Chiefs Super Bowl this year.
That's what we want, right? We want a huge finish, a huge dominant, and everybody talks about it for decades. What China wants to win like soccer, right? Like small incremental gains until there's parity.
He wins the race. Wow.
Once the United States, who is the world's economic superpower, once we have parity with another country, which is equality with another country, guess what happens to us? Our security status completely transforms.
And why is that?
Because we're no longer the dominant power.
Because there's another alternative you can go to. If there's one restaurant in the neighborhood, that's the only one that's serving the food. They could charge whatever they want.
It's like if you're playing
second
poker.
There's another restaurant in that neighborhood, all of a sudden the price has got to come down.
Yeah.
We're about to start watching Chinese movies.
Yeah, right.
We already do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is really interesting, but you still haven't explained what's happening with their military-industrial complex. How will they engage in these? I assume what happens with us right now is instead of us engaging in the hot war, and yeah, it does happen, there's a lot of proxy wars that we are funding with weapons.
So the United States, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, the United States has 20 different special operations groups.
Okay.
That's a lot.
What is it? Is that like Rangers, SEALs? Those are special operations groups. Got it.
Our nearest allies, with very few exceptions, like France, Germany, Spain, the UK, they have like 4.
Got it.
So we have 20. The next largest country, or the next country with the most, is Israel. Israel has 18 different special operations groups.
Oh, wow.
The reason that you have these special operations groups is so that you can have a constant rotation of active training in real-world conflict. So we have people in Somalia, and people in Mogadishu, and people in Colombia, and people in Peru. And we have people constantly fighting in support of joint forces, in support of allied forces and peacekeeping missions, right? These are people who get real-time experience with real weapons firing downrange and shooting people for real without it being a war. That's why we like proxy war.
So that we can keep them warm.
We keep them warm, constantly training. China never had that.
I mean, it's crazy to call it training.
But
it's a real fucking war.
Yeah.
But we see it for its training value. And then you rotate people through that.